Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to show what we feed each of our different types of cichlids. We get this question quite a bit of how we get some of the growth and the color to pop through each of our different types. There are differences between Africans and Central and South Americans, so we're going to start with my brother's 125-gallon predator hap tank to show what he feeds his fish, and then we'll end with the Central and South Americans and what we feed them. And let's dive right in.
Hey, what's up guys? Thanks for watching Cichlid Bros. So I'm just going to go over a little bit about how I feed my predator haps. Now as you can see, if you've been following along, these are juvenile predator haps, pretty small. I do have one Malawi gar that's probably over 4 inches here. I got a couple more that might be a little over 3, but everyone else is right at about 3 inches. So that does change how I feed a little bit as opposed to how I would feed adult predator haps. So first let's talk about what I feed these guys. I feed them Northfin brand and I stick to that. I mainly feed the cichlid staple and I will give them a little change up of the krill and veggie pellets. All pellets, all 1 millimeter right now because they are mostly under 3 inches. I am going to switch to a bigger pellet pretty soon because the fish are growing pretty quickly. These guys love this stuff. They go crazy every feeding. They will basically eat as much as I put in the tank, which makes things a little bit difficult to gauge how much to feed them because they would eat everything I put in the tank. I always have to use my own judgment to make sure I don't overfeed, which is the #1 issue in the hobby. However, with growing out African cichlids, big African cichlids, predator haps that are going to be somewhere around 1 foot long, I do want them to grow quickly. So I am upping the frequency of feedings. Typically people feed twice a day, sometimes only once a day, and we'll have a fast day in there. I actually feed 3 times a day, but light feedings. If you are going to power feed, which is a term I've heard used, then you have to be aware of the amount of nitrate that you're going to have piling up in your tank. And there are 2 ways to combat that. One is frequent water changes. I change water every 5 days. And 2, have frequent small feedings. So my 3 feedings a day are very small. It's 2 pinches worth. All the food is gone within 30 seconds. So I'm pretty confident that there's not a lot of uneaten food sitting there wasting away, piling up the nitrates in my tank.
For the Central and South American cichlids in our classroom and home aquariums, we give them a variety of foods. The biggest consideration for us when choosing foods is whether our fish is eating it, and we've narrowed it down to these brands here. It's also important to look at the ingredients in each product, and we're happy with the high protein content in each of these. We have medium-sized and growing cichlids here, so we feed them about this much twice per day, and for 1 day each week we don't feed at all. That short break seems to benefit the fish and make them eager for food the rest of the week. We also give them a small treat with brine shrimp about once a week. For my smaller cichlids growing out, I'm feeding slightly less each meal, but also increasing to about 3 feedings per day, and this can help smaller fish grow a bit quicker. Overall, we try to get a feel for how much the cichlids will aggressively eat in about a 2-minute span. If there's leftover food accumulating, we definitely dial it back some. It's really about getting a feel for your tanks and making sure each fish is getting their share. And starting with Ultra Pellets from Cobalt, these are about 3.5 millimeter foods, so the bigger fish tend to eat those first. It's about the size of your typical bug bite from Fluval. I usually drop these in first, which occupies the bigger Severum, Acara, Bala Shark, or in the classroom tank with the Green Terror and the Jack Dempsey. And this allows the other foods to sink and reach the other fish in the tank. Then we have smaller pellets from Extreme. These are the 1.5 millimeter and they sink right away. This is perfect for my Geophagus as they scour the substrate looking for the small pellets. For larger cichlids, you may want to go up in size or even consider something else if the food is getting lost in your gravel. The last dry food that we regularly give our cichlids is a bit of an odd one, but our cichlids go crazy for it, and that's cichlid crisps from Tetra. This has become a staple in their diets since they absolutely go crazy for it. They seem to eat this first out of any of the foods I put in together, and it's basically replaced any type of flake from their diets as they would always pick out the crisps. About once per week, we also give our cichlids frozen brine shrimp or bloodworms. We found that if you do this too often, they can get spoiled and stop eating dry foods. So for us, a balance of once per week gets them the highly nutritional food without throwing off the rest of their schedule. We like to thaw out the cubes in a cup of tank water so that it's easier for them to eat, and this lets you pour small amounts of it at a time. They'll easily eat the whole cube, but if you pour it all in at once, you may have a lot of the food going to your filters directly. And that does it for this video. We hope it was interesting or helpful for you. We found success with these products over the years, and if you want to try and replicate this, we'll leave Amazon links in the description below. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next week.